Again, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh, and hi again, I'm Dr. Rohana. We're going to discuss about clock signal and clock flip-flop in this video. Let's go. They have two types of the clock signal. Change the input from high to low and low to high. Basically, on the first one is asynchronous and the second one is synchronous. So for the asynchronous, the output will be changed whenever the input is changed. And for the synchronous, the output only will be changed when the clock transition. And actually, it try to improve the asynchronous by control the output based on the constant pulse. Okay, so we're going to look more clear about this based on the time diagram here. So if you look here based on this diagram for asynchronous, whenever the input is changed here, so the output will be changed. Again, here is a change and here also a change. Every time of the change will be affect to the output. It's a difference to the synchronous where we can see here when the input is changed. For example here, and is our clock at the middle of the clock here, it doesn't change the output, so the output maintain as a remain signal for this is a 0. But if you look here, when this output arrive at the clock transition age here, so the output signal is going to change from 0 to 1 according to the type of the age transition for our clock signal. So that's the difference between asynchronous and synchronous system. The output can be changed based on the age of the clock. So what is the age? So age is, if you can see at here, this we call as a age. Okay, this also we call as a age. So this one, this part, this part, this part, and this part. So this is we call as a age. So this age can be categorized into two types, which is the first one we call it as a positive going transition or PGT, and the second types we call it as a negative going transition, NGT. So actually, if you remember that we have discussed the enable at the gates, D latch, SR latch, they have a function where we call it as a enable. So this enable is try to mimic the clock, but it's not a constant pulse. The difference is with the clock is clock able to give the constant pulse, which is time is same at every frame. Okay, now we look at another example that for PGT and NGT for more detail. So here is a PGT, which is this PGT actually is a moving signal from 0 to 1, and for the NGT is from 1 to 0 transition. So that's how we're going to differentiate between PGT and NGT. So here you look, we have PGT and NGT. The frame here, time is based on clock that we are set time. We want the interval for this system. Next, we're going to look the clock FF or clock flip-flop, where this type of clock is applied the synchronous manner of the change output from 0 to 1 and 1 to 0. How are we going to know that our system is embedded with the clock? From this logic symbol, we can see here we have another parameter where we call it as a clock here. So you can see that like a triangle part here, and also another one we have triangle and a bubble. So what the difference between both of the clock? So for this one, which is the triangle without the bubble, it indicates the PGT, positive going transition, where the transition is occur for the at the positive from 0 to 1. Meanwhile, for this clock where we have the bubble here, it indicates the NGT, and it's the transition is from 1 to 0. Also, we have another control input, which is we have another input, for example, from another sensor. And actually, this control input can be more than one, and this not affected to the clock. Okay, they have three types of the flip-flop that we're going to discuss in this subject, which is SR flip-flop, JK flip-flop, and D flip-flop. So we're going to look more detail, to discuss detail about this flip-flop on the next video. Bye.